Hi, guys, and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. Today we have a special guest with us. His name is Ackerman. I hope I said that right. And he is going to be talking about Together for Sharon. It's the journey that he has been through and wants to bring awareness and care. But before we get started on what that is, really quick, George, I got a question for you. Out of the past, let's say, 15 years, how many weddings have you been to?
I love weddings, especially the food, but I haven't been to that many. I do include mine, which was I loved. We had a South Florida wedding in December. We had fireworks. We made it snow, and we also had snow globes. So it was a very interesting, wedding. And one of my most favorite memories of my life, besides being with my wife, was with my mother. And hopefully, we'll have a little time later to get to that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It sounds like your mom was an amazing person and you guys just had a really strong friendship, which I can't wait to hear about and everything. But your wedding, snow globes, I know I worked with a couple industry people that had those snow globes for events and everything. So they're beautiful. But I would love to see pictures one day. That sounds amazing. How do you do snow and fireworks?
We just wanted to make it memorable. It was like one of the snow machines inside, and to have snow on a December in Florida is impossible, except for I think
Yeah.
one time, like 10, 20 years ago, and just wanted to make it, an experience no one forget. There's a lot more involved, but that was, we had a live band. It was really, we went overboard, and it was definitely a great memory. Now today we have three children, almost 11, 12 years later, and we force them to watch it. And it's nice though, because they get to see some memories, and my mother was one of her happiest days ever. So it's great. Thankfully, we have those memories, and I wish I had more. But as we'll get to with Parkinson's disease, the last year my mother's life, I wouldn't show any videos that we made because it really didn't depict her incredible life. So.
Yeah, I gotcha. So memories made though, and definitely, when you have that bond and can capture it on tape, and whether it is that you got some before it happened, or back in as you said, good old days, those are memories to look back and cherish and love on and stuff because everybody's journey in life is so important and so fun. And I always think about what are my kids when I go, what are they going to say about me? What
Yeah.
am I leaving them behind with? What legacy? So all right now I know is, oh, mom was a photographer and she did a podcast, so but those are important and everything. So with our sponsor, their name is Life on Record. And what they do is instead of having a guest book at the wedding, they will actually bring in a vintage rotary phone, which is really cool. I have pictures of it on my Facebook page, but if you can picture a gold and black phone that's very antique, your guests will go up, pick it up, and be like, oh, congratulations on your wedding. Or maybe it's a groomsman saying, oh, it's about time you put a ring on her finger. Or maybe
Mhm.
they're even talking about, let's say it was your wedding. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful in here. What a great job. I love the snow. This is amazing. Your band music is amazing. They're going to tell you everything. And I call it the gift of voice. Right next to the telephone, they have a QR code. So your guests can take their cell phone, scan that QR code, and they can leave a message either before or after the wedding as well. Now, I'm talking about weddings, but this can go for any kind of event. Now, after they collect all these voice messages, they can either burn it on a 12-inch vinyl record, which the album, I love it. It's customized. I will say your name on it and everything. Or they have like a keepsake speaker that you can have. So just to put a vision in your head. So like maybe you guys are celebrating your 1 year anniversary and you save the top layer of your cake and you got that out, but you bring out that little boom box and listen to all your friends and family congratulating you. And I just think it's beautiful. So their plans start at $99. You get the phone number, not the phone, but the phone number for 1 year. So they can call back and leave any messages and it will get put on there as well. But you can find out more information about them at www.lifeonrecord.com. All right. So, George, let's get started. Who is George?
Thank you again to you and to your listeners for giving me the opportunity to speak. This is a very important topic, not just in my heart, but around the world. So, my background is I always had a passion of victims of crime. So, my career took me to becoming an attorney. I worked as an intern at the prosecutor's office in Florida, also in Washington, D.C. Then I decided, since I didn't have the time I wanted to help victims, you just don't have time in court. You have to keep going to become went right after that into the police world. So I became a police officer. Then again, I found, unfortunately, you don't have the time, and you have to go to the next call. So I was like, unfortunately, once again, it's not how I wanted to help victims. And luckily, I fell into teaching education. I did my PhD in criminal justice, and I was able to do my dissertation on aiding African American mothers who lost their loved one due to murder. A lot of the times in our criminal justice system in the United States, the family members are forgotten. And I kind of correlate that to my advocacy today because a lot of the society until recently, which we'll get to, I hope, our government and our political world really has forgotten the individuals in the Parkinson's community until last December, where they finally passed the National Plan to End Parkinson's Disease, the first act in U.S. history that should go to the Senate this year or next, so you and your viewers can actually be part of history. You reach out to your senators and ask them to support, tell them, don't ask, but tell them it's urgent to support the National Plan to End Parkinson's Disease, which should come this year or the next, and then the president, whoever it is, will sign into law. It'll just change the world, and also it's sponsored by and really propelled by the Michael J. Fox Foundation.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And as you said, Michael J. Fox, I think when people do think of Parkinson's, you know, I remember as a young girl, like, yeah, of course, as watching Family Ties and Back to the Future. Yeah, that was a movie. And I even named my daughter Mallory, like from Family Ties. So I just love that show he was in.
Don't forget
But
Team Wolf. Teen Wolf,
Teen
the
Wolf,
movie.
yes,
That
I
was
love Teen Wolf. Yeah, that was amazing. And his legacy will forever be, embedded into our brains because I mean, Back to the Future, just the car that could go fly with the lightning strike and everything. They don't make movies like that, really. I
yeah.
mean, much more. I love the 80s and 90s movies, but more 80s, I think.
A lot of
So,
that movie actually has come true today, with the hoverboards and things. It's crazy how it all actually, that was supposed to be the future, and now we're in somewhat in the future. And, it's amazing how technology and even advances in research for Parkinson's has kind of improved a little. Unfortunately, we still don't have a cure.
yeah. So, I mean, for some people listening, maybe they know or heard of Parkinson's disease, but can you explain more in detail what that entails?
Parkinson's disease is unfortunately one of the fastest growing neurodegenerative diseases in the world, so not just in the US. I just discovered recently last year there's about 10 million people throughout the world who have it, approximately 1 million in the US. But everyone I meet now, seeing maybe they don't have it, but their family is now, somebody member might have it, a cousin or mailman or a truck driver. It just seems to be everyone now is getting linked to it, which is in a way good for awareness, but in a very bad way, more people are being diagnosed. So Parkinson's again is a movement disorder through the nervous system, and it gets unfortunately worse over time. But the problem, there's no cure, is that every single person is so different and unique. Mr. Michael J. Fox, who I had the honor to actually meet a few weeks ago in Florida, he has more external tremors. My mother had more internal, and that's frustrating because people might not see it, but you still have it. She also had stiffness in her left arm, which gave her some trouble to move her arm. But she had it for about 15 years. It just got extremely bad the last four. And to be honest, I didn't even know what Parkinson's was. I just heard the name because she was still independent. She was able to live, move, drive, see her friends. But the last 4 years just dramatically declined. And that's when I fell into the world of caregiving. But also, there's other areas where the nerve cells, like neurons in the brain, become weak, damaged. And unfortunately, they say as doctors that you don't die from Parkinson's, you die with it. But my mother she passed at age 69, which was young. She didn't have
Oh,
any other
yeah.
illnesses. She did have late onset dementia, which is another horrifying disease that brings hallucinations and delusions. But again, it's very different for each person. And finally, it just really affects the movement, gives tremors, stiffness in the limbs or body, and also could be impaired balance, which is a big problem because if someone falls at that age, they can break something and then it gets even worse. So the biggest signs again are tremors, rigidity, bradykinesia, and instability. My mother also had something called dystonia, which is where the toes curl. And I recently put up a video. My mother's favorite time on Sundays was blowing bubbles with her three grandkids in the backyard. And I didn't really notice it because I took video the last year, but I don't share it. I don't believe Parkinson defines you. You just have it, but it doesn't change who you are. And I just noticed it was towards the last end of the year, and I did notice a lot more external inability to control her movement. But now I walk by that same backyard and don't see them doing it anymore, and it's even still hard to talk about today, even 4 years later.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so, grief is hard. And, you were mentioning you and your mom had this amazing bond, as mother and his son. Can you tell me a little bit more about that bond that you guys were able to form?
Yeah, I we started together for Sharon.com, really in memory of my mother, because I felt she was in a way robbed of 20 years of her life and maybe even 15, 20 after life. So I decided to start that. I thought five people would see it and I'd move on and that's it. Some reason a year ago I just got, word that there's 10 million people throughout the world. I was able to interview about 600 people from France, England, Spain, Africa, Iceland, Nova Scotia. I mean, it's really kind of sickening but inspiring to know that this disease is affecting people everywhere. And even the misconceptions, people think that it's an elderly man disease, which it's not. Michael J. Fox had young onset, which means you could get it from, age 30. I heard that there's even a baby now has it in another country. So to me,
Okay.
it's an epidemic, and it's not just about me and my mother anymore. Today, I fight for all those people who might not have a voice, and that's why I do this. I don't accept money. We don't accept donations. We allow donations, but they go to the website directly from the organization, like Michael J. Fox, in memory of my mother. So the technology is incredible because none of it's mine; it's all theirs. And I do this again. It might be rare. I've been told that, it's sad that in 2024 you can't just do good things for people, but I literally don't want anything in return. But to get to your question, the reason I said that, I kept a journal the last year of her life, which was the toughest. Seeing any loved one, kind of, I don't want to sound sad, but disintegrate in a way. I mean, she went from this person who could walk a few miles to the last 4 years, she went to the cane. From the cane, she went to a walker, the walker to a wheelchair, and then the final 7 days bedbound. So I kept a journal, a few notes every night of the whole entire journey. And we finally decided after 4 years to publish it in a book. So I'm really excited to tell you that hopefully in April, for Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month, our first book will be out. And I'm trying not to say too much because I don't know what I'm allowed to say yet, but it's going to really go deep, dark into the world of caregiving like you might not have ever seen before unless you've experienced it. But this is merely with Parkinson's. But I even have the index here of the book, and I never really talked about it. But I figured,
Oh, cool.
but it's going to go through the first time signs. It'll go through symptoms and treatments, my primary caregiving, my support, which was my wife, the children, and then again it goes over the last week. And I actually had a chapter which was really heartfelt of all her friends wrote a few notes to my mother, in memory of her. So that's going to be a chapter, and it's just going to be
Oh,
exciting. But I sometimes I tell my family and friends it's a tough book because it's not, number one, I try and bring the darkness, but I leave it in the light of advocacy today. So it goes from the tough time to now we're, positive, but unfortunately
yeah.
a cure is too late for my family, but not for others.
Yeah, I hear you. Definitely. Wow. I'm just like, I love that you have a book coming out, and something that is on my website for Keep Hope Alive podcast is a store where I interview authors and I'll put their book up.
Thanks.
So, George, I know it's coming out later, but you got to contact me because I'm going to put your book up there so
I
they can watch
appreciate
this
it.
podcast and jump over and buy that book really quick.
I
So, with
appreciate
the
it.
book, are you going to do it as an audible too, a listening?
Yeah, I'm new to, I mean, I published books, but more on constitutional law and policing and things, so it's not, but this is the first I've ever done really opening my heart. And I mean, if you do follow me, anyone listening, I have every social media. I don't know how it got that big, but like I said, I thought there'd be three people. There's a little counter on the bottom of TogetherForSharon.com, and they've had over 30,000 people visit the site. And
Oh,
all the interviews I do are completely free. I put thousands of hours in. Even the book, I've spent thousands of dollars. We've also donated $16,000 to the Parkinson's Foundation, Michael J. Fox Foundation, and the American Parkinson's Disease Association from our own family. Because fundraising is tough because I'm not the kind of person to ask people for things. So I just, we donate on our own. But, until there's a cure, I just really won't rest. Even the other night, I didn't sleep thinking, because now I've become such good friends and family with so many people who have Parkinson's and
yeah.
advocates, and I think of them at night when they post because they're big. A lot of them, it's like a beautiful community, and they've opened their arms to me. Sometimes I feel weird though because I don't have Parkinson's, and I'm no longer a caregiver of someone with Parkinson's, so I'm in like a weird world. And we've even been approached and started our first support group completely free online for anyone listening. It's for people who lost a loved one due to any disease, and it's once a month on 4 p.m. on the second Tuesday, I believe. But you go to togetherforsharon.com, click about us, you'll see the link for support group. But I felt alone then, and so even today, like the way we're doing now, you helped me a lot. So again, I want to thank you because this actually still helps me through my grief, and that's why I do a lot of this. It's not again for any intrinsic value or anything. Even the book, I'm not gonna really care about the money. It's more just to get my mother story out there. It's sad too. I research it, and there isn't one son, and you can correct me in the future if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen one book from one son who's lost a mother in the world, like literally on this topic. And that's what made me realize that we have to do something. We'll be releasing the four books next to the all the interviews I've done, but that's also just something that, to show to share their journeys. And one thing you said earlier about journeys, and I always think is the only journey that breaks my heart is the one that I'm not aware of, and that's why I keep doing this. But there are days, just like when I was caregiving, I feel burnt out, tired, want to give up. But then again, I see those people suffering, and it makes me keep fighting. So again, I really
Yeah.
appreciate the time today.
Yeah, with Parkinson's, I mean, also, I'm a big chronic pain warrior and I've been going through this since 2002, but it's a hidden illness. Like when people come, like I could right now be a pain 10, but it feels like a 12. My insides are feeling like I'm crushed. I can still do my daily chore, like if it's a podcast, if it's something, but then, we listen. I try to bring as much awareness like you do to people about chronic pain because it is the hardest thing to go through. So, but when you have to be seen and you're going to the doctors and they're telling you this and that, like surprises can come up in the health industry. Like I went for two different reasons and I said, hey, you know what? I do have this really sharp pain on the side of me, but I never in a million years thought I would hear what I heard a couple of weeks ago. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? we got this, we're gonna get through this. And, it's just like, but it's when you're going through any kind of illness and Parkinson's, yes, you were journaling. And that's a good thing because it helps. You're seeing what's happening. How do you feel about it? You're putting it down on paper. So, I did that, but it was for a totally different reason. But when I went back to read everything, I cried because it was like the words were powerful. It was a story. It was emotional because it's exactly what I went through. But, it will help being heard. Like this podcast here, you're being heard. It's going to help somebody else also who's going through the same thing and they can reach out to you. So I know Together for Sharon, is it like a .com.org? What's the website?
I'm really sorry to hear about your pain. We don't have the time, but I actually had two spine surgeries. I'm going for a third in May, and I don't wish that on anybody ever. Hopefully it works. If it isn't, I think I'm just gonna have to move on because I don't have the time. But that was why I didn't go. They have something called the World Parkinson's Congress, and that's how I discovered that 10 million people around the world have Parkinson's. I didn't even know. I wasn't aware. And they have a event every 2 years around the world. The last one was last July, and Paul McCarthy was the speaker, which is incredible, from the Beatles,
Wow.
and that's how impactful, this is around the
Uh-huh.
world. But that I was, thankfully for social media, the one positive, even though we know there's a lot of negatives, is it like we're talking, I was able to reach out to so many people that I never, one example is a gentleman I became friendly with in Africa. His mother had Parkinson's and they believe it's witchcraft. So they took her away from him. He had to escape to see her. But these are the misconceptions that we need to talk about, and the tough topics, or we're never going to find results positive. So Together for Sharon, it's just www.togetherforsharon.com. And, again, it's what I've done is I put a lot of resources when I was going through this that I couldn't find. I knew they might be out there.
Yeah.
Now they're all there and they're free. Like I have to keep saying because there's no catch. If you watch Shark Tank, but wait, there's more. But no, there's no, there's no catch here. It's all the interviews are there, all the podcasts that I do, like hours. I hope someday will be up there, and it goes around the
Yeah.
world. I started my own. We have 3, 4 podcasts now, but my dream is to reach people who are not in the Parkinson's community. So people who do not have Parkinson's and people are not Parkinson's caregivers, because if we don't get everyone on board this ship, we're going to be further from a cure. My podcast one is with my wife, so it's really fun because we interview people with Parkinson's or in the community, and you get a female perspective of the caregiver too, and the male. I also have the Q&A with Sharon's son George, which I have one today with a young lady who's from I believe England or another country. She has a magazine for Parkinson's, and I just interview them to try to promote them for awareness. And then I have a
Yeah.
really amazing, last one's a really great podcast. We have none like this, in my opinion. Again, I researched it, so I could be wrong, but we took 3 people with Parkinson's and me, and it's the first time I've ever seen caregivers and people with Parkinson's able to just talk about what they're going through, and that's once a month, called Unscripted. So there's a lot of, it's becoming like a thing of its own, even a station. And again, I don't want anything in return. My dream
Yeah.
is my dream's to end it all. So once we have a cure, that's the big statement of Michael J. Fox Foundation is, we'll be here till we don't have to be, or similar to that. But, I hope this website can stay forever beyond me, like you were saying with you. But I even look at my daughter, who at the time was 7, now she's 11, and I think maybe she'll continue it on. But like I said, I hope there's a cure so she doesn't have to. And I'm also working on children's book and another book because of my background. I taught at the police academy many years, and the word Parkinson doesn't exist in any training for any police
Yeah.
in the U.S. So I want to change that, and hopefully, if I write a book, I'd like to get a bill going to the Senate, maybe one day through the Congress. And the Michael J. Fox Foundation stated that they might be able to help with that. So it's a lot of things that are exciting in the future, but that are really needed today. And there's just not enough time in the day, unfortunately.
That is amazing. I'm really hoping and praying that everything will get passed through. And, the voice of being heard on podcasts, it's just amazing. So I strongly believe, I bet this will go and be pushed through. I think you have a lot to do with it. I feel that in my heart and soul. So, but
Me too.
really quick before we continue on, have you ever seen these before?
Mhm. No, except for
No?
earlier.
So these are called keep disappearing snap bands. This pink one says faith and this one says hope. But a little bit about the faith one, it's new to snap bands and you can only get it with a promo called KHA for Keep Hope Alive. So, and really quick, I'm just gonna kind of go over this because they are a big sponsor for us. With snap bands, we know the world is a stressful place for everyone with work, school, relationships, health issues, finances, the nightly news. There's anxiety every day. Negative thoughts can keep popping into our head over and over again. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of anybody loving me. Bad things are always happening to me. If you ever have these types of thoughts, you're not alone. More than 40 million Americans are diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Anxieties, worries, and fears can stop you from finding inner peace and achieving your true potential. And you deserve to live the best life. Finally, there's an amazing new bracelet called Snap Bands that was invented to help you reduce anxiety, control OCD, and calm stress. Snap bands are cognitive behavioral therapy tool based on proven brain neuroscience, and the way snap bands works is amazing. So, snap bands bracelets look like a stylish piece of jewelry on your wrist, but its unique design actually hides a secret elastic band that sits right on your inner wrist, which is a pressure point for your brain's nervous system. So when you give this elastic a little tug, you'll feel a very gentle, soft vibration on your inner wrist. And a gentle physical sensation is all you need to reduce anxiety. And here's why. Did you know that the human brain can only deal with one emergency at a time? Well, whenever you feel an unwanted negative thought in your head, you can gently snap the elastic on your inner wrist, and it forces your brain to focus on gentle physical sensation, which instantly disrupts the unwanted negative thought. Now, they have mantra words and all the different ones. Like I have faith and hope, but they have seven different ones: believe, blessing, dream, fearless, hope, of course, love, and peace. So when you choose that mantra, you can say something like, hey, I believe in myself. I am a blessing. I am fearless and I will always have hope. So these, you can hide it. Like, when I'm at a hospital or something, they always miss my vein. They always do. I'm a hard stick. And I'm like, now I use this and go, I'm praying for the nurse to find my vein on the first try. Let's hope and have faith and let's move on. But it redirects my thoughts. I don't want to think of the negative habit because it's always happened to me before, but I'm going to pray about the now and bring awareness that I'm hoping and praying and changing that situation. Now, I've had mine on for 2 months and, I have medical PTSD and it does help me. So I'm gonna tell you that much right there. Um, they come in many different beautiful colors, so pink, red, purple, blue, brown, white, green. With the mantra words, they are waterproof. So when I'm doing dishes, they can get wet. If I'm taking a shower, they can get wet also. Now, they are made of a vegan leather, which is really cool. So if you have sensitive skin, it's not going to interfere. and you can find them at www.snappbands.com, which is spelled SNAPPBANDZ.com. Now, with a portion of what they do sell, they'll give it back to a mental health facility to help out different organizations and stuff. So remember, if you did want the mantra word faith, you got to put that promo code in of KHA. So let's get right back with you, George. Thank you for listening. Definitely. To honor your mom in her journey and then going through all the parts of the journey of having Parkinson disease is your goal, it's your mission and your vision in life, of course, to bring awareness. So, what can Keep Hope Alive do for you to keep this awareness up? I would love to help you guys out.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, individuals listening should please contact your senator. So that's the main thing that'll help change the laws. You can visit the website TogetherForSharon.com. There are links to donate, but again, it goes to organizations like Drive Toward a Cure, who actually has professional race drivers, and they do different events throughout the United States. I'm hoping to go to one soon, and they'll actually donate that to Parkinson's research. As the we in Florida, I'm in South Florida. We have a few walks every year. One's called the Optimism Walk, and it's for the American Parkinson's Disease Association. And also there's the Parkinson's Foundation, who has something called Moving Day, and that's around the whole entire US. We're flying to New York for the first time. It's the 30th anniversary, but the Michael J. Fox Foundation has something called the Unity Walk, where everyone will be gathering in Central Park in New York City, April 29th, I think, and that's going to be really life-changing. That's going to be fun. But there's a lot tonight, actually. I'm going to a thing called, it's for the Boca Raton Ballet. And what they have is a special night once a year. One last year, it's hard because I have to sit and my back is no good, but I try to just forget it. Like you said, I'll snap my, I have my bands. These are free, but they're in memory of my mother. But it's beautiful. They have like 7 or 8 female little ballerinas, and then the
Oh,
7 or 8 Parkinson's patients, and they put a whole play together. I'm gonna probably stream a lot of it online tonight, but
good.
we have every social media, and from TikTok, which will probably be banned soon, to Instagram, to Facebook. But the tough thing is, it is all just me. We're not a foundation. I don't want to be. As an attorney, I know how to do all that, but this is not about that. My dream someday would be, well, first is to cure, and then I won't need to do anymore. But I was thinking of turning us someday into a foundation to raise money for future medical students who want to research Parkinson's awareness or hope for a cure. But so we're doing that, and there's just a lot. We have our own podcast, but I enjoy going on other individuals' podcasts like you, because we become
Oh,
family. This is not, again, no offense to other people's podcasts, but I don't believe this is about a one-time hour talk. This is something that has to continue on until we find a cure. Has to be
yes.
shared. So I urge everyone to share your podcast. I'll share your podcast or ours, and it's going to go up on our page forever. And then, just keep
Oh,
pushing, never give up. The only good thing is that can't cure Parkinson's, but there is research now to show we can slow the progression. So 45 minutes of exercise a day is very important. That's really not just with Parkinson's, that's with anything. Exercise is very important. Also diet. There's also been genetic studies, but they're not really sure if that plays a role. Also, there's things like drugs out there, but they just kind of help again with the motor skills, but don't cure Parkinson. Some of the toughest things is there's no actual test to see if you have Parkinson's. What they do is a series of other tests for other diseases, and they narrow it down, and then they say you have Parkinson's. But trying to find the right diagnosis, early
hmm.
diagnosis, and not being misdiagnosed are some of the most important things that need to also still continue to research. And there's just so much to talk about, and unfortunately, so little time.
Exactly, exactly. Wow. Well, I mean, you are a wealth of information. I mean, I've learned a lot from you today and your journey. I hope I didn't miss anything.
I'm
Did I?
sure. I still learn too every day from everyone I meet, whether it's someone who
Yeah,
has Parkinson's or an advocate. I just think we're all a family, and if we need to all work together. There are still people who
yeah,
either, timid or just don't want to say in a way come out, which is totally under respectable. But until everyone again joins together, I don't know if you know Richard Lewis, famous comedian. He actually passed away last week because of Parkinson's. I was in touch with his
uh-huh.
agent to interview him. So at the time they said he didn't want to talk, and then I found out he was too sick. Had a great honor to speak with Kenny G, the famous musician, who actually
Oh,
played a
wow.
song. He
Yeah,
played a song for my mother, and in her memory, it's on the website. Also met with Michael J. Fox a few weeks ago. I interviewed Muhammad Ali's daughter. So, we need everybody, celebrities, regular Joe like me,
yeah,
if we don't
yeah.
get that reach. And everyone I've been working on trying to reach Jack Osborne, Ozzy Osbourne's son. There's a lot of people out there I think that can really shift the awareness and help bring much more to the plate. So, that's just the main. I don't think we miss much, but there's always so much more to learn. And I just again grateful for your time.
Well, I'm grateful for your time too. So it was a real honor to speak with you and have you on Keep Hope Alive. Also, really quick, I wanted to thank our other sponsors that do make Keep Hope Alive afloat. As I mentioned, we had lifeonrecord.com. That was your interactive guest book for any event. We also had the snapbands.com, that the bracelet that helps reduce anxiety, OCD, also PTSD, which is nice. So, our next one is Ogden Ventures LLC, former NFL player Marcus Ogden. He's a keynote speaker, best-selling author, podcast host also. You can find him at www.marcus. Let me spell this out. It's MARQUES, then his last name Ogden, OGDEN.com. Our next one is bridalshowsinc.com. If you are planning an event in the Dallas Fort Worth area, which is Texas, they host about 5 to 6 different trade shows out of the year. So you can meet different vendors. They'll showcase your work. You can talk to them, get them booked, or set up appointments. And they have a beautiful fashion show. So check them out. Our next one is Miles and Smiles Events. Miss Deborah Rose. Her background is investigation, but when she does events, she's a handwriting analysis and lipstick reader. She makes all events fun, and she's 100% accurate. Our next one is Bryce Harney at www.brycemagic.com. You might have seen him on TV. He's traveling all across the United States doing big events. He is a magician and mind mentalist. So I would say, hey, go on YouTube, Bryce Harney, check him out, see some of his fun work he does. We also have richmondpunch.net. He graduated from the Juilliard. He is a violinist for over 30 years. He's performed in front of 1 million people, also had 2 spots on Lifetime shows for playing the violin in the background, but he is available for hire. I know he's going on tour with his music too, so check him out. Our next one is TK Hair Salon at www.tkhairsalon.com, located in Plano, Texas. If you're a man, woman, child, you need a haircut, hairstyle, updo, perm, highlights. Yeah, they get my grays out. Check them out as well. So remember, if you have any questions for us, you can always reach us at 833-780-HOPE 4673. If you would like to even be interviewed by George too about Parkinson's and stuff, I'm sure he would love to hear from you. You can leave a message and I promise to send it over to him. So go ahead.
Uh, Sorry, I always end every podcast with one quick message, if it's okay. We
Yes,
just want
definitely.
for you too, but we send our love. We support you. We care about you, and you're never alone. We're family in this fight for a cure for Parkinson's and every disease, really. I will advocate for you. Together, our voices are so much stronger. And I always say I'm just getting started because every morning I wake up and see another individual having to go through what my mother and I did. Kind of re-energizes me to know that we're not done with this fight yet. So again, thank you for your time and your viewers, and grateful.
Oh, thank you so much. That's beautiful. I love it. Perfect, perfect. Well said. Remember, wherever you guys find your podcast, you can find Keep Hope Alive, and our website is www.keephopealivepodcast.com. Once again, George, thank you. So
Thank you.
until next time, we will see you. Love and light. Bye bye.